Good afternoon, everybody, especially our online audience. My name is Moses Mwase. I am the chairman of the Uganda Law Society Elections Committee. We're very glad to, first of all, bring to you the first of the debates for our candidates that are running for elective office in 2024. As many of you know, this is an election year, and we have positions of president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, 4 council members who represent the 4 different regions, 2 members of the society that represent at the law council, and other positions that fall vacant as and when they are announced, otherwise known as society representatives. These elections are governed by the regulations of 2016, which we're all familiar about. But my role is really to introduce our moderators. But before I do that, we also have in the room 2 of my counterparts on the elections committee, starting first of all with Mr. Sam Kiriahe, who is the vice chairperson of the committee, and on my left, Miss Brownie Ebal, who is the chairperson, who is the secretary of the committee. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our moderators, starting with Miss Jane Kasumba. Jane is very well known in the media fraternity and now in our law circles as well. She's a known media personality, a broadcaster, a commercial transactions lawyer, a communications expert, and a professional TV show host. And she's worked for over 20 years in public and broadcast media with a wealth of experience. She's very experienced as a moderator and a master of ceremonies. And next to Jen is the co-moderator, Mr. Angelo Izama, who is a seasoned and very senior journalist. And I think you recognize that we've had to do a mix so that we have especially people that have got a media background to moderate the very interesting debate that we expect to have. So without further ado, allow me to hand over to our moderators, Jane and Angelo, who will conduct this. And we trust that we'll have a good debate and that our members will get to know what everybody has to offer. Thank you very much, and over to you, Jane.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much to the Uganda Law Society. I just want to take this opportunity to welcome all of you who are joining us, not just here at our venue at the very luxurious Onamo Hotel in the center of Kampala, but I also want to welcome all of you who are joining us digitally via X Spaces, via Zoom, all around the world, and of course the Uganda Law Society community as a whole. This debate is the first of 2 debates. It's an opportunity for you who's watching this afternoon to really take a critical look and a critical analysis at the candidates' manifestos and what the candidates have to offer for the upcoming year for the Ugandan Law Society in their various positions. At this juncture, let me also introduce my co-host, Mr. Angelo Izama. He needs no introduction. He's a famed, what are you, Angelo? Famed media personality, media critic. Yeah. Mr. Angelo.
I wear so many hats.
He wears very, very many hats. So, Angelo, a quick introduction of yourself, and then we'll get down to business.
Okay. So, first of all, I also want to extend my thanks to the Law Society of Uganda for this opportunity to be a part of this process. As everyone knows, public debates are a form of accountability. Today we are leveraging that to give members of the society an opportunity to hear from their candidates, those who have put themselves forward for leadership positions, and then to make up their minds. Beyond that, I want to wish the candidates a pleasant debate.
As we zero down on the theme for this year's debate here at for the Uganda Law Society, let me take a closer look at what we expect the candidates to speak about. And the theme, theme one is, what is your understanding of an active and well-managed bar association that the Uganda Law Society should emulate or aspire to live up to? And of course, the theme is broken down into strong governance and leadership. We want to see clear structures, transparency and accountability, advocacy and representation, professional development, member services and support, engagement with the legal community, financial stability, and regulatory control. Of course, I will be going and leading you through also the second theme as well. We want to see candidates focus thematically on legal expertise and integrity, strong communication skills, visionary leadership, commitment to justice and rule of law, collaboration, relationship building, crisis management and problem solving, administration and organizational skills, alongside many others. But let me also take you through the program for you. As you're well aware, and as you've heard, you've already had the welcome remarks and introduction from Mr. Moses Mwase, chairperson of the Uganda Law Society Electoral Commission. We've also had introductions from myself, Jane Kasumba, and Mr. Angelo Izama. Will be here until around 5:30 to take you through the nitty-gritty of this debate. Thereafter, we shall start with the representatives to the Law Council. There will be our first session. The candidates will be asked the following: a question detailing their manifesto, what they have in store for the year, the upcoming year, if they're selected. We'll also scrutinize their manifesto, and we'll give them an opportunity to speak for 5 minutes. The candidates are Ms. Robina Chamuhangire, Mrs. Georgina Matama Kugonza Musisi, and Mr. Abubakar Sekanjako. The second session will be on Council Member of Eastern Region. Of course, we'll be looking at their manifesto. We'll be scrutinizing their manifesto. We'll give them 5 minutes per question to speak to you, our audience, and to convince you why they should be selected or why they should be elected. The candidates are Ms. Agnes Eres Kanyango, Mr. Francis Xavier Ochen Ochama, and Mr. Eddie Nangulu. They're also here. Our third session will focus on the role of secretary, and the candidates will, of course, describe their manifesto. We shall scrutinize it, and they'll be given 5 minutes per question. The candidates for secretary are Mr. Philip Munabi and Mr. Babu Sali. And session 4 will be a vice president. We'll have we'll have them detail their manifesto. We shall scrutinize their manifesto as well. And the vice presidency candidates are Mr. Anthony Asimwe and Ms. Fatuma Omar. Session 8 will be for the president of the Uganda Law Society. We shall have the following candidates: Mr. Isaac Atkunda, Mr. Isaac Semakate, and Mr. Kenneth Kipalu. And we shall take a look at their manifesto. We shall scrutinize it, and they shall defend alongside the questions that will be asked to them. At this juncture, I would like to ask Mr. Angelo Izama to kindly call up the first session candidates, who are the representatives to the Law Council. And he will also give us the code of conduct and what is our expectations of the candidates during this debate. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Shall we summon to the floor Ms. Robina? And yes, so it's Ms. Robina, Mrs. Georgina Matama, and Mr. Abubakar. So those are our candidates. You can come and take the seats, please. And as you do, I know that you will give some longer introduction to the audience with your speaking time. But I wanted to focus on some basic rules of the debate. First, we shall have equal speaking time. It's only fair. every candidate will be given just the exact amount of time, and we would like for you to keep your time, your response within the clearly defined time limits. On the moderator panel here, we just wanted to say that we'll be as impartial as possible. I think it is fair just to tell you that in these things, we often say we have no conflict of interest. That is true for myself and Jen. I will enforce the rules fairly. We have a structured set of topics, and this is just to allow for the flow of the debate. We encourage you not to do ad hominem attacks and personal attacks of any kind. If you do, we shall respond from the panel here. You'll have an opportunity to respond to a question asked to you and also to rebut if that is what is required. There will be some real-time fact-checking, I think, with the society, and just so that you're aware, any claims that you make will be checked even after the debate. So we don't have, apart from the audience online, we don't have a live audience here, as participation is limited. So think of me and Jen and the people in this room as representative of all the votes you'll be seeking. Aside from that, there will be some penalties for rule violations, which if that happens, Jen and I will communicate to you. So that's the long and short of it. Jen? Oh, we have 2 candidates in front of us, but I think Ms. Georgina Matama is online. Georgina, if you can hear us, say something. Is she online? Can we test her connection?
So just to clarify on that, the 3 candidates before you for representatives to the Law Council are Ms. Robina Chamuhangire, who's right here with us, alongside Mrs. Georgina Matama Kugonza Musisi, who's joining us online. And I know those of you who are online can see her. Georgina, I hope you can hear us. Okay, she's being promoted at the moment to a panelist, so we shall be able to get her live and clear. And we have Mr. Abubakar Sekanjako. So I think, Angelo, let's get this debate started.
Very well. Let us start with you, Ms. Robina. Would you give the audience and the panel here a sense of what your manifesto will be for this position?
Okay, thank you very much, Angelo. My name is Robina Chamuhangire. I'm one of the candidates for this position, Law Council Representative, ULS Law Council Representative. I'll give you a brief about my manifesto. Okay, my manifesto comes to align the Uganda Law Society's needs to the spirit of the National Development Plan, specifically Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs Strategic Plan, to which the Law Council Department belongs, the one that I seek to represent the Law Society to. So what does this mean for a candidate like me? It means that I am presenting myself to be able to advocate for the most desired sector plan objectives to benefit the ULS membership in totality. How? I am looking at 3 strategies which I seek to discuss here. Angelo, you did not inform me how much time I have. I need to know that. So to begin with, 5 minutes. So strategy number 1, I'm looking at lobbying for integration to automate information management systems for efficiency and effectiveness for the benefit of all advocates, new and old. I am seeking to lobby for the integration and automate information management systems for efficiency and effectiveness for the benefit of all advocates, new and old. What do I mean by this, and what kind of activities am I looking at? I am looking at if my candidature goes through, to develop a system where members' information at the ULS, at the Chief Registrar, and at the Law Council, that information can be merged for both ULS as an organization, the Chief Registrar, and the Law Council to collaborate, capturing members' CLE points, for instance, for the year, to maintain up-to-date members' data, and other developments that happen both in Law Society, Chief Registrar's Office, and the Law Council. So what does this mean? It means that the activities of carrying out, for instance, renewal of practicing certificates of old advocates and approval of chambers should be online. In other words, we are seeking to remedy the old system where you have to be interfacing with Law Council, Chief Registrar's Office, the back and forth. So we are looking at that kind of automation, and then supporting data capture of new advocates' credentials, right from training institutions, universities, Law Development Center, as well as their applications, to cut out delays. Somebody might be wondering, what is this going to remedy? There's so much going on. There's been so much outcry around practicing certificates, especially for the new advocates, but I also hear the issues that even continuing advocates need to cut out the bureaucracy that happens around renewal of their practicing certificates and approval of chambers. So strategy 2, I'm looking at continuing to urge lawyers, so advocates accused of professional offenses at the disciplinary level, which is a role of the Law Council, to embrace alternative dispute resolution to ease the management of the council's work and the lawyer's business. The lawyer is a very busy person, so making them get involved in 2 cases all year round is very counterproductive to their work. So what activities am I looking at? I'm looking at the Law Council, working with the Law Council as ULS to ensure that all cases that are at disciplinary level go through alternative dispute resolution, which can be negotiation, can be mediation, and how will this help the Law Council? How will it help the members of the Law Society? It will reduce case backlog at the disciplinary level. Also, time for Law Council handling a full-blown hearing of cases will be cut down. So,
Robina, you have about 120 seconds left.
120 seconds. So lastly, I am looking at promoting the human resource development of the Uganda Law Society, which are the lawyers, to address key skills and competencies as capital development amongst the lawyers in the ever-changing landscape. This will be done in the different areas of law, and the National Development Plan also outlines where lawyers' trainings are needed. So we will align according to what is already in place. That's it.
Thank you. Jen, would you want to do a follow-up question?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Robina, for that. I'd just like to remind candidates that time is of the essence, so structure your time appropriately. You have 5 minutes to put your point across. Thank you very much, Robina, for that. It's good to note that you've noted that some of the challenges faced by council across the board will certainly be eased through your application of modern technology during your term. So let's see what else Mr. Abubakar Sekanjo can bring to the table. So Mr. Abubakar Sekanjo, over to you, please.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon to you all who are following this debate. Sorry, I'm receiving some instructions.
Yes, can you kindly press your mic? That's right.
Okay. Thank you so much. Good afternoon to you all, whoever has tuned in. My name is Sekanjako Abeka, and I am contesting for the position of the Uganda Law Society representative to the Law Council. Well, my intention on representing the Law Society stems from the fact that, or it is guided by the question of whether the Law Council is in control. And my campaign is run on the theory of giving the Law Council power and control over the profession. Because in its functions, the Law Council has wider and far-reaching mandate over the profession, right from legal education, legal practice, disciplinary, and everything to do with our profession. But the question is, are they in control? That is the debate we have to interrogate. That is the question we have to interrogate as leaders representing members at the Law Council. Because over the years, the issues that are structural have been discussed. The delays in the issuance of the certificate of eligibility, the worthiness of some degree awarding institutions. Those are questions that keep coming in, that are honestly discussed by individuals in our practice, in our circles. But are they addressed? Those are the issues that we have to discuss, other than the administrative issues of issuance of the practicing certificate, the certificates of eligibility, because I believe that if we handle the question of control, giving the mandate, enabling the Law Council to perform, we would be giving it powers to perform efficiently and effectively. What do I mean in this? Is that when you look at the formation, going back to the foundation, where do we get the Law Council from? It was formed over 50 years ago, and it has been in existence. The last amendment we last saw in 2002 just changed a few things regarding the Law Council. It remained a weaker organization to man and handle the profession. We need to broaden its powers and mandate to see that it takes charge and control over the profession. My colleague has mentioned that the Law Council is a mere department in the Ministry of Justice. And it is the one that is running the affairs of a legal profession of over 5,000 professionals. Why don't we make it an autonomous body? Let us give it power. It cannot function. When you go back to the reports, the reasons they give for delaying to handle and process certificates of eligibility, there are issues to do with manpower. There are issues to do with lack of maybe finances and what have you. Those are issues that we have to interrogate, because the Ministry of Justice is prioritizing other issues other than our own profession. Let us have our body, let it focus on the issues concerning the members, because currently what we are having is the Ministry of Justice more or less directing it on where to focus. So that is going to be the theme of my mandate, of my campaign, that let us have reforms regarding the law council. Let us empower it to standardize the legal education in Uganda. Let us have the same standard for entry into universities. Let it streamline the structure and the workings of LDC, because it is another place that is tormenting lawyers, and we have reports to that effect. Let it speed up, let it digitalize the issuance of the certificate of eligibility. We have case studies from South Africa whereby you apply online to get a certificate of eligibility. But here we are, you have to struggle with papers after papers to see that you get enrolled. So
Counsel,
let us have them enrolled.
Counsel, you have 1 minute remaining.
Okay, thank you so much. We have issues to do with the CLE. The continuous legal education has been commercialized. When I had just started practicing, we used to have sessions where we couldn't pay, but now each session you have to pay. The other day was an arbitration training, and you had to part with a lot of money to attend that training. Let us go back and see that the law council is empowered to conduct its functions without straining so much its members. We have to promote it, to empower it, to expand the frontiers of legal practice. There are current trends in the financial sector, but the law council is not focusing on that. There is no paper that I have come across regarding areas like finance. The issue of cross-border practice, it is still pending. Law council has not had the time to focus on it. And we have to look at its membership. It has members who have various roles. Why don't we have it restructured? We have a membership who will be there permanently to handle issues and when they arise, because the profession has grown. We have a number of universities now offering legal education. By the time it started, we only had one university, but now we have a number of them. It was only handling about 100 legal professionals, but now we are in 5,000. There are various issues that have happened, and we need to reform the law council to enable it handle the profession effectively and efficiently. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Mr. Abubakar Sekanjo, for that spirited representation about what you can do as a representative of the Law Council. At this juncture, I'd also like to welcome Mrs. Georgina Matama Kugonza Musisi, who's joining us live, but I'd also like to inform all those of you who are watching us live, please, if you have a comment, if you have a question, kindly put it in the comment section, or kindly ask your question, and we shall make sure that the candidates answer it. Nothing derogatory, just to the point. Thank you very much. Mrs. Georgina Matama Kugonza Musisi, please. If you can hear us, please. The floor is yours. You have 5 minutes to give us your manifesto, please.
Is Georgina connected?
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Ms. Georgina. Go ahead. We can hear you.
Sorry. Good afternoon. Thank you for the invitation. Chair, members of the ULS Election Committee, moderators, and the members of the Law Society, I'm happy to be here. Straight away, I will go and present to you my 4 focus areas that, if given mandates, I should be able, with your support, to push. And my tagline for this candidature is promoting a forward-looking and member-centric law society and law council. My first focus area is the digitalization of the enrollment and certification processes at the Law Council. I would like to say that many qualified lawyers have been looking to be evaluated for admission to the role of advocates in Uganda or having their annual renewal of their practicing certificates done. And they've been experiencing delays. And for lawyers, you can imagine the billable hours that we've lost in processing annual certifications, or even lost opportunities when we don't get to enroll on time. So with your mandate, I, Georgina, undertake to lobby for the digitization of the enrollment and certification processes at the Law Council to improve efficiencies, eliminate delays and costs, and redundancies. I invite you to join me in advocating for automated services at the Law Council. My second focus area was from a compliance-seeking, tick-boxing culture to a skills-enhancing CLE culture at the Law Council. Members, I believe that many of you have experienced the great rush we get into for the coveted 21 CLE points, just to guarantee annual renewal of our practicing certificates. You have also many a time felt that sometimes it's not worth the money or the time when you do CLEs. Do you yearn for skills enrichment to gain competitive edge in the multidisciplinary markets? You have at times felt that the CLE accreditation standards are very restrictive. What if you could afford, if you could have access to affordable and skills enriching CLE options? This is something that has been going over my mind, and with your mandate, I'm happy to commit to lobby for a review of the prevailing CLE policy and standards to embrace things like CLE programs that are responsive to the changing roles of lawyers in the market, mentorship by senior lawyers, pro bono legal representation for bail applications, especially for our young lawyers, because you see, if it's skills-based, skills-driven, one should be a young lawyer who may not be able to afford the expensive programs, should be able to register under Law Council's radar and be able to represent clients, secure bail for them, and in that way meet their CLE obligations for the year. There should also be a provision for constructive participation in law review activities. And also, on the other hand, CLE scores would need to be reviewed to look at more at the qualitative aspects of the programs so that the right or appropriate score for the CLE program is given. I invite members of the Uganda Law Society to join me in advocating for access to affordable and value-adding CLE options approved by the Law Council for all members of the society. My third focus area is the advocate's remuneration fee structure reform. And here, when it comes to our professional fees, the hassle is real. Have you had challenges structuring advocates' clients' agreements? Many know that this has been one of the drivers for complaints in the Law Council, disciplinary cases. Have you encountered billing disputes? Have you grappled with formulation of financial bids when you're bidding for provision of legal services? Do you feel that the remuneration fee structure speaks to the emerging practice areas and market realities? With your mandate, I, Georgina, undertake to lobby for a baseline survey to inform a holistic review of our Advocates Act and the Advocates' Remuneration and Taxation of Cost rules and their alignment to the practice and market realities. Join me in lobbying for the intentional reform of the Advocates Act and the Advocates' Remuneration and Taxation of Cost rules to promote cost-reflective billing scales and fair competition. My fourth and last area, my focus area, is safe working spaces for all members of the Law Society. Members, do you ever wonder how many incidents of harassment and violence against both the male and female members of our society go undocumented in our places? Have you noticed that as a society and a law council, we lack the bare minimum workplace policies that safeguard members from bullying and sexual harassment? We also lack an independent grievance handling mechanism in the law council's licensing framework. Have you realized that neither the law council nor the society have provisions for an appropriate speak up platform? With your mandate, I, Georgina, undertake to lobby for safe working spaces for all members of the Law Society. I invite you to join me in lobbying for inclusion of workplace safe spaces as a minimum requirement in the checklist for the grant of certificates of approval for chambers or legal departments. I thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Georgina Matamaku-Gonza Musisi, for that. At this juncture, I'd like to hand over to Angelo. Angelo, let's go further and dissect each of and scrutinize each manifesto of each candidate. And then we shall also be taking your comments for those of you who are joining us live this afternoon. Angelo.
Thank you, Jen. And I guess the audience online and those who are on the webinar will realize that we actually have we have 3 candidates with differing platforms. There's a good mix, and I like what I'm hearing. Ms. Robina, for example, her manifesto is based upon efficiency in the administration of services for lawyers. Abu Baker has a much more radical vision for the Law Society itself and for the Law Council. And what he had expressed, and I guess we can get into it, is that the Law Council is punching under its weight and has to do more. And the previous speaker, Mrs. Georgina Matamaku-Gonza Musisi, has laid out a very detailed manifesto that focuses on the quality of services and the welfare of lawyers. But maybe I'll take Abu Baker. Abu Baker, you said very many things about what the Law Council could do if it were empowered. What I did not hear was how that empowering happens. So I can understand that you say, okay, the Law Council could do more. It could, with some reform, be a different kind of institution. But exactly what does that would you offer some extra detail on what empowerment of the Law Council would you like, and how would you proceed if you were on the council?
Okay, thank you so much. When you look at the Advocates Act, it clearly indicates that the Law Council has the mandate to recommend to the government policy reforms or anything related to the legal profession. When you look at the Constitution of Uganda, who is in charge of the country? Of course, it is the government. The central government is in charge of everything. And we know that it acts through policies. It acts through laws. It controls the country through the budget. So it requires policy negotiation. It requires amendment to the law. And this is not something that you can, push easily. It requires some little force. And this cannot happen if you're just a mere department under the Ministry of Justice. You get? It requires, I've looked at some progressive reports on this discussion by Professor Sempewa, and other members who have sat on the legal, on the law council, senior counsel Bruce Cherry, they've all discussed these issues regarding the autonomy, the nature of the law council. They have been there, they have tried to push some regulations, and they have been successful on some. Others have failed because of the failure to amend the law. The Advocates Act, especially regarding the law council, was last amended 22 years ago in South Africa. They last amended, they amended it in 2014. They amended it in 2014, 2018, plus last year. They have been amending to bring it to reality. The world is moving, the world is dynamic, things are happening, but we are still stuck in 1970s when the law council was first established. Let us bring it to the current terms. That is when it will be in position to introduce the quicker issuance of the certificates of eligibility. That is when it will evolve into thinking about other things to do with continuous legal education and training. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Yes,
Jane, over to you.
Yeah, if I can bring Ms. Robina Chamuhangire here into this debate. You had mentioned in your manifesto, that you'll focus greatly on integrating more modern technology at the Law Council. Kindly let us know how you're going to do that, where you're going to get the funds for that, and where you get the innovation for that. Because once you already have an existing system, not everybody welcomes modern technology. What are you going to do, Ms. Robina?
Okay. I understand that automation, improving management systems, information systems, and all that requires budgetary allocation. And I am very energized when I look at the NDP. I realize that those are the actions for which the sector of good governance and security, it talks about it, meaning it's already in place. Somebody needs to lobby and get the funds and ask the key actors. In this case, that's Chief Registrar's Office, Ministry of Justice itself, to allocate a budget to this automation and digitalization, but somebody has to be there to push, because it's already in place. The NDP puts it in place. When you realize that the NDP we have ends about 2025, this is 2024, we might be missing the point already. So we need to push for that. There could be funds, but who is lobbying for that? So the action there has to be advocating for that budgetary allocation of digitalization, of automation, integration of systems. So we'll be able to promote the efficiency that we want to see and the effectiveness. Okay? Yes.
Thank you very much, Robina. If I can bring in Mrs. Georgina Matama Kugonzi Musisi. Why did you choose this specific position to be a candidate to represent the Uganda Law Society at the Law Council? Why this? Why didn't you go for president?
Thank you very much. I'd like to say that it's not very easy to step up and decide to serve, but I think after my about a little bit over 25 years in practice, looking around and wanting to give back, especially in areas where over time I've been giving feedback, especially on the CL equality and affordability. I've been giving feedback to Law Society, the Members Affairs lead, about the quality of CLE, because personally I kind of do the CLE at the end, because you run through and the CLE programs are not actually speaking to your needs in terms of expertise. What do you want to add on? Where's the market going? Where do you want to pitch? And then when something comes up, it's usually with a partner and there's a cost to it, and not all the time that you can afford it. So for me, the decision to stand, and as you can see from my focus areas, was really to try and give back what I can to the society and to members. And as you can see from my focus areas, I've talked about the automation. Automation already at the Uganda Law Society, our processes are automated. We're paying subscription online. We're getting to see our CLE progress online. So why not with the Law Council, which handles our annual renewal of the certificates? And the other thing also, my focus area is also speaks live to my conviction to stand. If given the mandate, I have ideas on how the CLE program can be reviewed. So it's friendly, it's affordable, it's relevant, and it helps members to strategize themselves in a market that is full of so many other expertise, and they are competing for the same jobs that the lawyers are competing for. I've learned from my personal work experience, that is very good to, with the law degree in hand, when you diversify it with other competences that are relevant and are value adding to a client, you'll actually make more money. So for me, CLE is an area where I can have positive contribution to the society, to the council, if given the chance, with the mandate of the members. And as I listed, I mentioned making it affordable. Look at the skills. The young lawyers are trying to learn how to be advocates in court. Make a provision for CLE that allows them to go in there and make the simple application,
Georgina?
a bail application. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted a follow-up question. During when you made your first speech, you mentioned something about a minimum standard for workplace safety, protection of young women, prevention of bullying. Is this a big problem in the legal profession?
Thank you. Like I said, the safe working spaces is a real problem, because we lack them. And in my opening remarks for that focus area, I was very clear and honest that there are so many incidents of sexual harassment that are going on, perpetrated by both the male and the female lawyers. So it's not only the male lawyers doing it, but we actually have a growing number of female lawyers also perpetrating that kind of violence to the other colleagues of the gender. So, and in the absence of a speak up platform, both in the Law Society, at the Law Council from a standards perspective, because this, for Law Council, this would come as a condition to giving you a certificate of approval of chambers or your approval of your legal department. But since even in the Law Society, we don't have it, you'll find that there will be a few firms that have stepped up and they have these policies in place and they have speak up platforms. But generally, you'll find that most do not have it. Then others who are actually conscious about it are actually doing it as part of their personal commitment to having a healthy workplace. So I think it's high time that we actually face this reality and put mechanisms in place, independent mechanisms that allow for these incidents to be documented, to be thoroughly investigated, with a view of also protecting those that are alleged to be participating, and then also having a zero tolerance commitment, because a fish rots from the top.
Thank you.
The tone should start with the society and the Law Council and then trickle down to the law firms.
Thank you very much.
There are actually some firms which have been intentional about having that in place.
Thank you. Jane.
Thank you so much. As we wrap up this session, I'm going to give 1 minute strictly to each candidate to give us a reason why it is that those who are watching us, those who are part of the Uganda Law Society community, should vote for you. I'm going to start with Mr. Abubakar Sekanjako, followed by Ms. Robina Chamuhangire, then followed by Mrs. Georgina Matama Kugonza Musisi. 1 minute only.
Thank you so much, our colleagues, for following the debate. I am here to seek for your mandate, and I kindly request you to vote for me, because I promise and I preach the gospel of reform, that once we have our law council given powers, empowered, I believe that it can do a lot. Even with anyone in the office of representing us there, they can do wonders. But currently, the way it is structured, we cannot do much. So I kindly seek for your vote to see that we push for the reforms we want, to see that we have the certificate of eligibility issued out in time, to see that we have a fair criteria of continuous legal education and training, to see that we have actually CLE trainings regionalized. Why don't we have CLE trainings in Gulu? Why don't we have them in Mbale? They are only centered here in Kampala. Why don't we have them decentralized? Let us join hands and see that we support the cause of having our law council brought to the same standard as other law councils across the region, in Africa and world over. Thank you so much.
Thank you. At this juncture, I'd like to call upon Ms. Robina Chamuhangire. You have 1 minute.
Thank you. Thank you, Jem. I am requesting my colleagues to consider me. I am a lawyer of 14 years experience in both practice and development work. This means that I know what the lawyer goes through on a daily basis. I know what it is to walk in a smart suit under the hot sun. I know how important this position is to the lawyer, because this position acts as a link between the judiciary and Ministry of Justice, especially around supervision of lawyers' practice. I know what it is for a litigant who is annoyed with the outcome of their case, that they can't take it out on the lawyer, and it can be very easy for them to turn against you and report you to law counsel. I understand all those dynamics. So I have experience. I've worked with several development organizations. I've been engaging in processes where lobbying for funds happens. So I know that I have that experience. I value teamwork, collaboration, networking with different organizations and government agencies. I believe I am the best candidate to represent you lawyers in this position. Please vote me. You will not be disappointed.
Thank you very much. And finally, Mrs. Georgina Matama Kugonza Musisi, 1 minute, please.
Thank you. I'd like to say that, Georgina, I have practiced law for over 25 years. I started in private practice, went through legal aid, law society, with also collaborations with its partners. On the land desk, I did a lot of litigation, contributed to jurisprudence, and also did a lot of pro bono work with legal aid projects. I've been in private practice. I've practiced as in-house counsel. I'm a qualified regulatory compliance specialist, a qualified governance professional, and an advocate. And I would like to say that I dream of a law society that is and members that are forward-looking, as law council that is member-centric, that looks to growth, to continuity. I look at a society where our senior members are actually passing on techniques, skills to the younger ones through deliberate mentoring. Like I say, that could be equated to CLE qualification. I'm looking to serve if given a chance and mandate by you members. So I invite you on the 28th, please show up and let your vote speak up for you. Thank you. I will still contribute to the society and the Law Council through ideas, even when not voted, because for me, this is about giving back. Thank you.
Okay, a special thank you to all our candidates in session one. Candidates have been vying for the position to be the representatives from ULS, from the Uganda Law Society, to the Law Council. They have been Ms. Robina Chamuhangire, they have been Mrs. Georgina Matama Kugonza Musisi, and they have been Mr. Abubakar Sekanjo. To all the candidates, thank you very much for keeping the decorum. Thank you for also heartily putting out your manifesto. We wish you the very best of luck. Please go on the platforms, mobilize, and make sure that on the 28th, you are the representative that's so selected for this position of the representative to the Law Council. We are now closing this session, which is session one. We shall now go to session two for the Council Member Eastern Region. We're taking a break for a minute or so. There will be a montage on your screen. We'll be also taking in your comments and your questions as the next session commences. Thank you very much. At this juncture, we'd like the next candidates for Council Member Eastern Region, Ms. Agnes Eres Kanyango, Mr. Francis Xavier Chen Ochama, and Mr. Eddie Nangulu to kindly take your seats, please. Okay, all candidates are online, so we're just giving it, there's going to be a countdown. We have the next 40 seconds, Mr. Producer, before we go back on. Mr. Producer, we should start in the next 10 seconds, please. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to all of you who are joining us, not just here at Onamo, but also all across Kampala and Uganda, and all of you who are joining us digitally on various digital platforms this afternoon. I'm Jane Kasumba, and right next to me is my co-host, Mr. Angelo Izama. So without further ado, let's get into the second session for the Council Member Eastern Region session. Our candidates are as follows: Mrs. Agnes Eres Kanyango, Mr. Francis Xavier Ochen Ochama, and Mr. Eddie Nangulu. All three candidates are joining us live, not here, but live on our mediums, and we welcome you. Can we kindly have each one of you say hello so we can know whether we hear you or not? Miss Agnes Eres Kanyango, can you hear us, please? Thank you very much. Mr. Francis Xavier Ochen Ochama, are you with us? Okay. Mr. Francis Xavier, can you hear us? As his mic is being sorted, let me check on Mr. Eddie Nangulu. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, great.
I'm pleased to be part of this debate.
Okay, so Mr. Francis Xavier Ochen Ochama, are you available? Let's get this session started. Without further ado, I would like to invite Ms. Agnes Eres Kanyango to kindly give us her manifesto, and we welcome all our candidates of council members, Eastern Region. Over to you, Mrs. Agnes.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to all the members present and members online. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Agnes Eris Kanyago, and I am vying for Council Member Eastern Region. My manifesto and my agenda for this office for 2025 is unity of the bar and the bench. We are at a point where the image of the advocates and the judiciary is going through the press too much, and some of it is not good press and some is good press, and we're having instances where the bench and the bar are conflicting a lot. So my mandate is to try and make sure these relations get better, and to have avenues where the bench and the bar can have constructive talks where they'll be able to come together in the event of some issues arising, and they'll be able to sort out these issues before they can hit the press, before they can be taken to the law council, before we can have a mass outbreak of situations that can be remedied right before they go to the press. So I'm advocating for an avenue where the bench or the bar can report a complaint against let's say, an advocate against a judicial officer, and they can come together and talk it out, iron out the differences before it can affect the dispensation of justice. As a council member, my job is mainly to be a bridge between the two, and to ensure that the two offices that dispense justice are not curtailed by the quarrels, the small things that keep coming between the bench and the bar. This to me is mainly because it's the litigants that suffer most. Because if the bar, an advocate, is quarreling with a judicial officer, the case of the client is the one that gets affected. As such, there is such need for respect, decorum, and good relations between the bar and the bench. Also, this can also be achieved through frequent bar bench meetings. We already have these meetings, but they are not as frequent, and as such, they may not be able to adequately register and deal with these issues. A more frequent meeting between the bar and the bench would help a lot in this area. Also, there will be more bar meetings, lawyers meeting, and talking out the issues that affect their practice, issues that are affecting them with the bench, issues that are affecting them with clients, also to iron out issues in between the lawyers themselves without involving so many other outsiders. We could have a first meeting point to iron out these differences and also to celebrate our successes. So a frequent bar meeting would also help a lot in these dispute resolutions. My other point is
Agnes, you've got 30 seconds.
Oh, my other point is the better regional members service and increasing regional visibility. The earlier candidates talked about digitization of the processes of the ULS, but also there can be a decentralization of these offices to help with these different issues that affect lawyers, better than going to Kampala where you have to make a line and you come back another day, come back another day. But if we have these decentralized offices, it's easier to manage the cases, it's easier to manage complaints, it's easier to manage all the affairs affecting the members.
Thank you.
We also obliged.
Agnes, thank you very much. I'm not sure that Mr. Francis Xavier Ochen Ochama is online. Is he?
Yeah, he is online. He's just joined.
Perfect. So I welcome you, Mr. Ochama. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yes. My name is Ochen Ochama Francis Xavier, a candidate for the position of ULS Council member for Eastern Region. And my manifesto is premised on the objects of Uganda Law Society as embedded in Section 3 of the Uganda Law Society Act, and also from what I pick on the ground happening to my colleagues. First and foremost, when we look at the objects of Uganda Law Society, Object 3A says that to maintain and improve the standard of conduct and learning of the legal profession in Uganda. 2, to facilitate the acquisition of legal knowledge by members of the legal profession and others. Then number 3, to protect, represent, and assist members of the legal profession in Uganda as regards conditions of practice and otherwise. Then to protect and assist the public in Uganda in all matters touching ancillary or incidental to the law. And then to assist the government and the courts in all matters affecting legislation and administration. How do I incorporate this in my manifesto objects of the Law Society. Now, we have been grappling with the issues of senior lawyers who have been left out of technology. Uganda Law Society seem not to be taking care of these senior lawyers. I have senior lawyers who cannot renew their practicing certificate just because they cannot attend the CLE training, which is required for one to renew his practicing certificate at the beginning of the year. Senior lawyers their technological insufficiency has actually made them not to do online CLE training, which most of us are now doing. And this has really affected them accumulating the CLE points. And then, how many times has Uganda Law Society visited these senior lawyers to find out the problem they are getting? I've always been visiting my colleagues here in Tororo, Busia, and there are a lot of issues which ULS representatives have not gone to these people to find out how they can settle this matter. And you should know that seniority always is very important. We, the young lawyers, these days we are the one who are interested in this position of Uganda Law Society. But how are we trying to get knowledge from these senior lawyers? Do we visit them to consult them? So those are the things which I need to bring forward when I'm elected as a council member. Senior lawyer plight. Number two, junior lawyers. How many junior lawyers are we helping as Uganda Law Society to ensure that they enjoy their practice as junior lawyers? I've always been asking my colleagues, when a junior lawyer comes to you, give him the help he deserves. I've always helped junior lawyers to commission like their statutory declaration for application for certificate of eligibility for free. This is how senior lawyers, and as a representative, I will foster on that. Then we have also leaving senior lawyers to handle like matters of state briefs. It is so embarrassing to get a senior lawyer going to handle state brief in the magistrate court, in the chief magistrate court. These are the things which we should leave to junior lawyers to also earn something out of it. So if we don't look at the plight of our colleagues, then we are taking Uganda Law Society to the dogs. Another issue is about our relationship with the bench.
You have 20 seconds.
When a judicial officer has done something
Ochen,
that has annoyed you.
You have 20 seconds.
Pardon?
You have 15 seconds.
Much obliged. So we want also to harmonize the relationship between the bar and the bench by organizing constant meetings with them. Then coordination among lawyers. I intend to make sure that
looks like the algorithm resolved that one. Shall we invite Mr. Eddie Nangulu to the stage, the digital stage at least? Eddie?
Yes, I'm on. Good afternoon, Angelo and my sister Jane, and colleagues who are listening in. I don't know if you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes, we can.
Am I? Yes, you can. I want to thank ULS for organizing this platform. It is a wise intervention. For many of us who are trying to canvass the entire country, having ULS arrange this members' engagement is both beneficial and efficient during the campaigns. Now, I've listened to my colleagues and what they are presenting for the same ULS council member for East position. Mine is a different approach. My first point of my agenda is on members' economic empowerment. I'm rallying under the theme of uniting voices, empowering the profession. Now, I strongly have witnessed and experienced also the difficulties that members experience because of economic times. COVID-19 woke us up to the reality that lawyers are feeble, and in just a few seconds, whatever you would seem as a glorious profession would reduce us to paupers, people who are begging for the next meal. During 2021, we set up an advocate circle. We had members sign up, and many of them were eager and quick to rally behind the initiative. It didn't yield or move so far because of the times then, but members have suffered immensely because of that deficiency. Currently, the ULS circle only has a total of about 148 members out of the 5,000 members. Now, you can't talk about economics of members and their welfare without discussing a proper saving scheme. That is my top agenda, to improve the economic welfare of members through a sustainable and proper saving scheme to offer credit and make funds for members available as and when. Number two is to defend the rights of the advocates and their dignity. My sister spoke carefully about the nature of treatment lawyers are facing. As a matter of fact, we are harassed. The courtrooms are very hostile for advocates. Even the young lawyers, it is hard to appear before certain courts just because they don't treat you as a member of the bar, or they think you're not a key player in the justice corridors. Now, we intend to defend our rights. Me as a person, I've been a victim of the harassment. I have suffered, I've even witnessed individuals and colleagues suffer similarly at the hands of judicial officers before their clients. This can't continue, honestly. This can't continue. We can't use careful words and say there's conflict. There is harassment, there's intimidation, there is a desire to stifle members at the bar. We can't accept this. We can't allow this. And in trying to unite voices, I intend closely and strongly to rally all advocates to speak up so that the bench does not reduce us to non-entities. Number three is on mutual bar-bench relations. I use the word mutual carefully because it must be mutual. Everybody must respect each other. Everybody must know the role the other plays in the course of administering justice. It is not that the advocate should be lesser or at a lower level. It is a coexistence between different actors in trying to deliver justice to the community. Now, if the bar can respect the bench shall equally respect the bar. Right now, that is not the case. Mostly in the region, we are treated as if we are not professionals, but this must stop. During the campaign trail, the senior counsel told me that the court he fears to appear in because of the conduct of the court. But we can't be running away. We can't be shy. Somebody has to speak up. During my own experience, I shared with our council member at that time how I'd been mishandled by the court for doing what I perceive was right. Our council member at that time there told me to go and apologize to the judge. And I thought to myself, the moment we begin to apologize, we shall allow this conduct to continue. As a matter of fact, I chose not to apologize. And when I didn't do so, other colleagues suffered similar circumstances. It now became a norm that every other person, the colleague who said, I fear to go to this court, was referring to the same court. Now, we can't have this happen. We can't have advocates running away from courts because of fear of judicial officers. We must stand up. We must speak up.
Counsel, you have 1 minute remaining.
1 minute, let me make these two very critical points. One is we are fostering health and wellness campaigns and programs for advocates. Since 2021, and maybe for the 3 years after that, we have organized a retreat for the advocates at the end of every year to promote unity, brotherliness, and also ensure that members relieve a bit of the stress. Through these initiatives, members, and these aren't ULS programs, we organize our programs for the past 4 years. My brother my brother Chama has always been part of us. For the past 3 years of the past 4, we have been hosting an annual an annual members retreat at different destinations. We intend to carry on with this for the benefit of members. Now, the very last two, harassment before the RDCs, before the labor officers, these are real concerns by members in the East. We are being harassed by state actors and nobody is able to stand up and speak for us. We must begin doing so ourselves. Labor officers in the different regions do not have the qualifications to preside over labor disputes. They are sitting and giving judgments that are against the interests of justice. Advocates are suffering in silence, which is not acceptable. So, with the mandate you will bestow, I will begin to rally and journey us to a better and befitting place as professionals in the practice. Thank you.
Thank you very much to our candidates for this second session of Council Member Eastern Region. I think, Angelo, if we can delve down into their manifestos, kindly take us through a few questions or comments that you would like these candidates to answer. Of course, I would like to just inform you and inform the candidates that we have 5 minutes for this session remaining.
Thank you, Jane. Look, there's a lot of ground covered around the same things, such as the dignity of the profession, efficiency, and inclusivity and representation. But some things come out specifically. But maybe to take the candidates back to this conversation on digitalization. Maybe I can start with Eddie. Why do you think the legal profession is late to the digitalization age? Because it's 2024 now, and we are discussing enterprise systems, the kind of thing that has been around for over 10 years, and within the government particularly, the government of Uganda itself has moved quite far. But the legal profession, which also includes advocates providing legal services to cutting-edge companies, technology companies, why is it that digitalization is such an automation is a late date conversation for this campaign? Eddie?
Thank you so much for that question. It is true that indeed, as lawyers, we are late. We have come to the table so late when it comes to digital migration. But this also is drawn from the areas of our practice. Our court system has been largely traditional. In the Eastern region, we only have about 3 or 4 courts that have digital setups. Now, they have the facilities, but they don't even have the capacity. You'll find that they will not have either a reliable network or they will not have a systems operator. So even if the systems are in place sometimes, the profession and I think it is drawn from the judiciary, they have come to the table extremely late because of the policies of the government. When we went through the COVID-19 setup, we struggled to enforce and demand that we have online sessions. Now that was practical to some extent, largely because where we practice mostly, we don't have these facilities. Now, it was only able to address the concerns for us who are in the city. But when you go to other regions in the Far East, in the farther regions where they have set up courts, now they have set up courts in almost every sub-county or almost every district. In each of those areas there are no facilities. If you look at our systems of digital storing, digital transmission of maybe filing of documents, even in the East, we have not been able to adopt ECMIS yet. Now it is an agenda that is being driven slowly, but it is also promising. most of the advocates have picked up. When we went through the innovations, many were able to adapt. We have had several Court of Appeal hearings online. That was during the COVID-19 setup, but still
Eddie?
there is so much to do. Yes.
Just in the interest of time, I think I get the gist of your response. I want to ask the same question to Agnes Eres Kanyango. Agnes, you said a lot of things about the welfare of advocates, and digital services able to deliver this efficiently these days, even when it comes to wellness and mental health?
I'm sorry, I did not catch the question. The volume is a little bit low.
I was saying that you talked in your manifesto about improving welfare, working relations between the bench and the bar. Are digital solutions not able to do this much more efficiently in this day and age? If not, why not?
I don't think everything can be handled digitally, because if there's a mishap in a relationship, I don't think a computer would be able to iron out such an difference between two parties. The digitization would help in this and in easing the work for the advocates, in enabling them to get the required documents on time, but not in improving the relationship with the bench. That one needs a personal touch.
Thank you, Jane.
Yes, I would just like to, I think the final person who has perhaps not answered a question about his manifesto, Mr. Francis Xavier Ochama, I think you have a heart for the senior lawyers. I want you to let us know how you can improve the status of senior lawyers as a council member for Eastern Region, especially those senior lawyers from the Eastern Region. Thank you.
No? I'm saying, can you repeat that question again?
Yes, certainly. I saw from your manifesto that you have a heart for senior lawyers, especially those in the Eastern Region. How will you, as a member, if elected for Eastern Region, ensure that their plight is in a way addressed?
My first task will be to enroll out training for these senior lawyers to ensure that at least they learn the basics, and also to advise them to get gadgets which can enable them to access this information through technology. And I've been always interacting with some of them, and they told us that, counsel, to be sincere with you, for us, we were trained during the time of typewriters. But I told them that you people, you should know that time for typewriters have gone. We are moving in the modern world. You have to move with the technology. And that is what I intend to do when I get to Law Society, to enroll every lawyer into technological training to ensure that we are all informed. Thank you.
Thank you very much to all our candidates within this session. We're now going to give you just 1 minute to finalize and to speak out to the members of the Uganda Law Society and why it is that they should vote for you. We're going to start in the following order. We're going to have Ms. Agnes Eres Kanyango. We're then going to have Mr. Francis Xavier Ochama, and then we're going to have Mr. Eddie Nangulu. So the candidates, you have 1 minute to make your final appeal, why they should vote for you as a council member for Eastern Region. Thank you. Agnes, we'll start with you. Councillor Agnes.
Agnes?
It seems we could have lost Agnes, so let's go straight to Mr. Francis Xavier Ochen Ochama. You have 1 minute to summarize on why you should be elected as a council member for Eastern Region. Reach out to those who are watching us digitally. Thank you.
Yes, the reason why I feel I'm the best candidate, one, is because I observe what the Uganda Law Society Act provides and what my mandate as a Uganda Law Society council member is supposed to do. Secondly, I have the plight of my colleagues at heart. I would want to see a Uganda Law Society where the senior lawyers, the junior lawyers, and every member of Uganda Law Society is happy. Thank you.
And finally, one last minute for Mr. Eddie Nangulu. Why should you be elected?
In my last minute, I want to emphasize that one, I am the most credible and competent of all the candidates today. Beyond what the law provides, my agenda is drawn from the reality on the ground. I have been a victim of what I am trying to advocate against. I've been a victim of the harassment. I have seen how we have been ridiculed and reduced before our clients and before the public. But also, I've also been a victim of the difficult economic times that really bedevil the practice. It is time for members to really wake up and members start to rally behind causes to improve their own welfare. Our ULS circle has only about 140 plus members out of the 5,000. This can't be the case. This can't be the case. We need to change the tide immediately, even as soon as yesterday. My agenda is real. I want to thank everybody who has rallied behind us. We are going to achieve even much more than what we have written down. I would thank you, members who are not even from the Eastern region. It is important that we vote competence, we vote capacity, we vote results. Thank you so much.
So at this juncture, this calls to an end session 2. You've heard from the candidates vying for council membership of the Eastern Region. We want to thank Ms. Agnes Eres Kanyango, Mr. Francis Xavier Chen Ochama, and Mr. Eddie Nangulu. Want to thank you for your detailed manifesto. We wish you the very best of luck. We also want to appeal to those who are watching us digitally and the community from the Uganda Law Society to kindly make a mention and note of the candidate of your choice so that when you're casting your vote on the 28th, you don't forget some of these pointers from these manifestos. We're going for a quick break for the next 2 minutes or so, and then we shall be having the candidates for the position of secretary. We'll be joined by Mr. Philip Munabi and Mr. Babu Sali. So 2 minutes, then we'll be right back. Thank you.
Okay. Gentlemen, are you ready? Okay. If you are joining this Uganda Law Society debate for the Law Society 2024 elections, my name is Angelo Izama. I am privileged to be hanging out here with Jen, who stepped out briefly. We are in a third session, and it has been very interesting. Much more drama online, I must tell you guys, and much more drama also behind me here. I want to welcome for the position of secretary 2 candidates, Mr. Philip Munabi and Mr. Babu Sali. Gentlemen, you're welcome.
Thank you.
So I was thinking that for the manifestos, with your permission, 5 minutes seems like a lot of time. Shall we cut it down to 3 minutes each, and then we get to the other business? Oh, very well. Okay. You want 5 minutes?
No, I think when we started, we said we were going to be uniform, so let's keep it at 5 minutes.
Okay. I just wanted to ask you first. Oh, very well. So let's start. Let's start with you, Babu. 5 minutes. Give us your manifesto, and then let's proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Thank you, the members who are in this room, and the public at large. My manifesto is premised on 4 aspects. To begin with is one of a proactive bar. By a proactive bar, I mean a bar that is vocal, a bar that works for its membership and the public. We ought to note that it is the Uganda Law Society does not only serve its mandate towards its members who are the members within the Uganda Law Society, but rather even the public at large. The society we have right now, the one that has been there before this one, is one that lacked the ability to be vocal, the ability to fight for the bare minimum needs, aspirations of the general membership of the society. We need a society that is going to uphold the rule of law, a society that will call all stakeholders to accountability, a society that pushes for transparency, and a society that knows that they are here but also have a duty towards the general membership of the public. And that is what I stand for. In my years of practice, which are 8, I have demonstrated this, the most recent being when I, together with my colleagues, under the partnership for Partners for Equal Justice Uganda, wrote a statement and also had a press conference whereby we condemned the actions of our president, Uganda Law Society, President Oundo, when he came out and associated some of us to a statement that was only one-sided in our beliefs. And he was saying that he condemned the actions of a litigant in court, but we told him the litigant felt he was not given the chance, he was not given that opportunity to be heard, and how best would he have reacted. So it ought to have looked at what has court done vis-a-vis what did the litigant do, and then you give a balanced assessment considering the aspect of rule of law as being the yardstick on which you present your assumption or expression. Secondly, I would move to the issue of members' welfare. This is one that is diverse, and it is one that affects all the membership of the Uganda Law Society. Under this, I have the aspect of latest in-law series. This one tackles the issue of CLE points. We have a problem with accumulating the bare minimum, which is 20. And with latest in-law series, you find that CLE activities have to be free. But lately, we are commercializing them, and commercializing them at obscene sums of money that many of our colleagues can not afford. So what are we saying? Let's revive. It's simply to revive. It was there and it can be revived, whereby we have at least 2 CLE points spread to 30. And in this, we can achieve almost 4 or 3 goals. 1, we have the CLE points. 2, we have different speakers or those who come to interact with the members of the society, like those who have handled cases that are precedents at that moment, because lately we receive them online, on email and as legal briefs, and many of us do not have that time of reading 56 pages also. But if you have a speaker coming to address you over the same case that they handled, you would have the ability to ask them even further. And then lastly, is the aspect of many lawyers being struggling. You find that many lawyers survive on saliva, and this is a fact. But during those meetings, we are given sumbusas, we are given meat, we are given tea, and some guys eat and survive. I mean, as a young lawyer back then, when I was being given 5,000 per day, and it would handle my transport, it would handle my feeding for that day, and even transport home, I would take this seriously, because I knew when I go there, I'm going to pack my stomach for about 3 days. So you've hit 3 birds using 1 stone, and it is very workable and achievable. So also to note on the issue of members' welfare, we have the aspect of continuous yearly approval of chambers. If, for example, my chambers have been in a particular location for 10 years, why would they be approved each year? And this approving comes with a delay, and that delay affects the renewal of PCs. So you find that if we talk to the various stakeholders and tell them, no, this is something that has deterred some of our lawyers from getting the practicing certificates in time. At least let's work it out to a minimum of 3 years or so. Lastly, in relation to that aspect, is one of yes, moderator, is one of representation of both the very senior, that is 20 years and above in practice, vis-a-vis the young lawyers. That we shall push for that, because these ones have specific concerns. They feel they have been left out of the society and they are not part of it. Thirdly is the aspect of improving the bar bench relations. With this...
Can I suggest...
yes, please.
That, because your time for the manifesto is done, you can speak to those points when you make your concluding remarks.
It's okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Although you did not warn me, which is unfair.
I'll take that seriously. So I have a timekeeper here. We should do a better job. So I guess it's up to you, Philip Munabi. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and thank you, Ms. Jane Kasumba. I know we've worked in the sports sector, so I know what I'm going to present to the membership is tested. The Uganda Law Society has a vision, it has a mission, and it has a goal. I will dwell on the mission of Uganda Law Society, which is to develop a skilled and empowered legal profession in the execution of its mandate. My offer to stand for Uganda Law Society, and my tagline is strengthening the Secretariat of Uganda Law Society to take over the mantle that we feel we should follow to deliver all these queries that our members are crying out for. I have 5 points, a 5-point agenda. One of the points is to deliver a responsive secretariat, that is a secretariat that is responsive to the members' queries and issues. Members, everything that we are talking about, there is a gap between the secretariat and the membership. And that is the problem I come to cover. Less information, less awareness of the programs, and that is affecting the membership in understanding where the society is at this time in point. 2 is delivering. My colleague is taking notes. I'll go slow. Number two.
You know will not increase your time.
Number 2 is building ULS institutional capacity to uphold ULS core objectives, among which is rule of law. Why are we working in silos? We can work as a society to deliver a voice that demands for good governance in this country, that demands for rule of law, upholding rule of law, and so many other issues. 3 is enhancing a strong ULS brand. Members, as we are here, who of you knows the color of ULS or the official logo of ULS? We have not built that brand. We all know that MTN is yellow. You get it? But ULS, you are just staggering. What does it mean? We need to uphold our brand. When you have a good brand, we can attract sponsorships, we can have strategic partnerships that can reduce the cost of these CLEs that we are crying about. We have not built that secretariat that goes out to look for sponsorships. We have not built that secretariat that enters strategic partnerships with law firms to do the trainings for our lawyers. I mention without fear. I have been on a program. I was on a program with S&L. They had a symposium on employment law, a full-scale program that skills you right from understanding what you're supposed to do to delivering. Very good program. ULS Secretariat should move to S&L. Have a partnership. We have members who need this knowledge. The institutions are offering these trainings, but we are turning a deaf ear because we have not built that institutional capacity at the Secretariat. Number 4.
A minute left.
No problem. We need to enhance our relationship with the stakeholders that be, more so the JLO sector, to iron out these issues of bar bench, bar DPP. We just need to enhance our cooperation. And we understand that today you're a lawyer on the bar, tomorrow you are the bench. We are crying of judgments. It is us who move to the other side. But we don't have that institutional capacity to move and negotiate. All these programs that we are talking about have been delivered by previous councils. My colleague mentioned of the latest in law series. Why did it die out? Because the next leadership was not in agreement or did not feel it is okay to continue with that program. So we should stop running our secretariat at the whims of the top leadership. We should build a secretariat that is enhanced and empowered to move forward these good programs. We had a program called Legal Aid Basket Fund that was launched during Senior Counsel Fiona Wall's time. It was there to support pro bono projects. It was not furthered. So members, I have taken time to follow US leadership, and I am telling you the problem between us, the members, and the society is the secretariat. Lastly, I will move to enhance and empower the staff at the ULS Secretariat. ULS should be one of the fishing points of talent. Because these people are trained from legal aid. They go in the jungles. We should be fishing from there. But what are we doing? Every time talent is leaving ULS. So I will move to empower the Secretariat and the staff there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jane.
A special thank you to both the candidates in this session 3 for secretary, Mr. Philip Munabi and Mr. Babu Sali. My question goes first and foremost to Mr. Babu Sali and then Mr. Philip Munabi, something that I did not hear within your manifesto. You're free to have it in your manifesto, you're free not to have it in your manifesto. I'm sure you're well aware that the body is a Uganda Law Society, but the secretary is a heart. It beats on behalf of both the vice president and the president. You're a very key component in their success. I want to ask you about teamwork. Mr. Munabi, Mr. Sali, Mr. Babu Sali, first and foremost, are you a team player?
I am very much a team player. And to demonstrate the fact that I'm a team player, in my earlier submission, I mentioned the fact that I, together with my colleagues, that is in Partners for Equal Justice Uganda, moved forward and demonstrated our dissatisfaction with the actions of the present Law Society at the moment, where we condemn those actions. I, for one, I am an affiliate and a member of several bodies, that is the Uganda Law Society, East African Law Society, the Uganda Poor Youth Movement, the Hustlers Movement, Uganda Public Opinions International, among many. And in all these, I am a vocal member, and that points towards my ability to work with others in regard to teamwork.
Just to conjoin to that question, I have stated that the secretary is pretty much the heart. I wanted to hear from your manifesto ways in which we can finish the ULS home. What are your thoughts on that?
Thank you for that. In regard to the ULS home, you'd find that there are several stakeholders with whom the ULS had reached out to in the bid to ensure that the ULS house is complete. And if I am given that mandate, we are not there to break, but rather to give a continuation of the past regime's work. And in this, I will ensure that I, together with my colleagues on the council, follow up on some of those promises, some of those pledges, so that we can ensure that the ULS house is complete.
Thank you very much. Let me come over now to Mr. Philip Munabi. You've talked about your experience in sport. I want to see what it is that you can bring from your experience from sport into the ULS. Sport furnishes you with the following characteristics: discipline, teamwork, efficiency, and the ability to overcome hurdles. What is it that you're bringing from your other spheres into this position as Secretary of the ULS?
Thank you, Ms. Jen. When we joined, this is a very passionate issue. When we joined sports, I acted as a legal and administrative assistant. When we joined boxing in 2018, no one could associate with the sport of boxing because everyone thought boxers are thieves, they are thugs, etc. What did I do? I came up with a deliberate public relations strategy. As we speak right now, boxing is getting sponsorships from corporate companies. That aligns with my agenda item number 3, building the ULS brand. If we have a strong brand, which knowledge I will share with the Secretariat, we can have sponsorships for CLE trainings and all these programs so that members can benefit. We are silent about our brand. That is why everywhere you go, if you present yourself as a lawyer, it is common that they will say, "Ha, Mwababi, you are the thieves." Why? Because our profession is degenerating as we look on, but our Secretariat is also not empowered to move in that direction. That is what I bring. Secondly, team player. I am a leader or a person who foresees a problem. For instance, the communication issue. Today so many people are saying, "But Munabi, you have been the secretary." No! I saw a communication gap between ULS and the membership. What did I do? I started sharing information that is critical to the members through WhatsApp groups because I realized that they can easily check their WhatsApp groups than the emails. Secondly, how have I used this knowledge? Let me tell you, I am one of the people who have popularized the ELS society to ULS members because I share the information. And that is what the Secretariat should do. That is being a team player. I have mobilized members in ULS to go for East African Law Society trainings, physical trainings, the AGMs.
I think that pretty much ends my questions to you.
Thank you.
Angela, do you have questions to the candidates?
Just to relay one issue that was raised by a young lawyer. She says that the process of enrollment, I know we've spoken about this variously, but specifically that enrollment processes are too long, and says that of a class of 200 in her year, I think only 20 have been enrolled. And this person is asking, as secretary to the Law Society, what will you do specifically? Because without enrollment, young lawyers are of course not paid what they're due, even if they're trained for it. It limits their opportunities because enrollment can take 2 years, and yet you're already a professional, you're ready to go and earn that money. So either of you can take this question. What would you do?
Probably let me begin. First of all, to put it to context, before one enrolls, they are not members of the Uganda Law Society, just like before they have not paid up. So what we can do for these people, they do not actually qualify to be termed as young lawyers within the meaning of the ULS Act. But this is a concern that has really come up, and together with our ULS representative on the Law Council, these are some of the aspects that we have at heart, aspects that we intend to push our representative there to discuss with the membership, so that if at all a particular lot has come out to enroll, they are guided. Because the things that really deter them from being approved are a few things. Things like a question mark here and there, things like a full stop in their submission of the letters, and those are things that can easily be sorted out, and these people enroll in time. So we shall not be selfish that because they are not part of us as yet, we really give a deaf eye to that, because we're also guided anyway.
Thank you, Mr. Izama. I think we also need to understand where the problem is. I have taken my time to study that issue. There is a missing gap in the data collection system between the institutions that are concerned with enrollment. When you graduate at LDC, you need to pick your certificates physically. So there should be a system that when you graduate, your information automatically goes to the Law Council and the High Court. Now what is happening, people are picking files physically from LDC to Law Council to High Court. There should be an integrated system such that my name is automatically there because I have graduated. Now out of it, a system can be developed. I think ULS has moved that step. Our data is already collected right now, but that is for the enrolled members. The not yet enrolled members, their data should be interlinked from LDC to the concerned parties. That is the issue. We solve that, we are good to go. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess now you both get a minute each for your final comments to the voting members of the society. Shall we begin here?
First of all, I would like to put across my last 2 points that I did not put across. That is one, in improving the bar bench relations. We have a very big dilemma, and we are at crossroads with the judiciary because it is a system, one where from bottom to top you find that there are relatives and these are untouchables. We intend to have open engagements, and these are bar bench engagements whereas we have had them, but there have been more of tea parties. We want those whereby we vehemently disagree with them, we tell them what is wrong, and they have to change. If it means not taking water at those meetings, not taking their sodas, we shall do that, but the membership's voice has to be heard. Another issue is mediation between the concerned advocate and the judicial officer, and lastly is professionalism. We shall advocate that judicial officers treat advocates with professionalism and the same towards them. And in regard to my candidature, I want to request the membership of the Uganda Law Society that I speak for those advocates who use a taxi every day, the advocates who drive in that orange limit, the advocates who use a border, and the advocates who are struggling out there. That I am the right person once pushed there, because I have been there and I am still there. I am a person of integrity. I am a person who fronts rule of law. I am a person who goes for accountability. I am a father. I am a son. And above all, I am a person who knows the needs of those membership of ours. I am not a self-seeker or here for titles. And my manifesto has not been packaged in any way like probably burgers or a pair of sausages. It is one that is workable. It is not an ear sweetener. No, we are past that and we need action, and I have demonstrated that. Thank you.
Thank you, but also I want to thank the people out there that are sending overwhelming support. I see over 1,200 messages. Those are voters. Now, dear members of Uganda Law Society, I have been here. On many forums, I have told people, we need We need 100 Munabi Phillips in the society. Every day I wake up, when I leave my home, my second home is the Uganda Law Society. I think take time to study issues and understand where a problem can be and think of a solution. When you send me to council, there are certain day one issues that are in the campaign that I feel so touched. Things like young lawyers issues. We just need a specialized committee to handle that issue and put it aside. It's a day one issue. Just entrust me with your vote. You have seen me work. You have seen me deliver. I will not go below the standard of what the name Munabi Philip stands for. Thank you.
Thank you very much to both candidates, Mr. Philip Munabi and Mr. Babu Sali. I want to also make a special thank you to those of you who are joining us digitally. We have seen your overwhelming support, the love emojis and the claps for our candidates. I'd just like to remind the candidates and also those who are going to vote, yes, a vote and an election doesn't end with just the claps and the love hearts, etc. It ends with you casting your vote. People can celebrate you 100% but not show up on the day. Yeah. So you as the candidates must make sure that your supporters show up and vote for you. I just want to thank you for your manifestos. I want to thank you for keeping due decorum during this session. And I want to wish you the very best of luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We want to welcome you back again to the Uganda Law Society 2024 Elections Candidates Debate, the 17th of September, Tuesday, 2024. You're most welcome. For those of you who are joining us, both live and those who are joining us via various digital platforms, you're most welcome. We are now ready for session 4, which is for the candidates for the position and post of Vice Presidency of the Uganda Law Society. We have 2 candidates, Mr. Anthony Asimwe, who's joining us here, where we are, and also Ms. Fatuma Omar, who's joining us live. At this juncture, I'd just like to remind all of you who are joining us digitally that you can send in your comments or your questions so that the vice presidency candidates can answer to your queries. The first, of course, we're going to first and foremost start by a quick introduction. I just want to know a little more about you, Mr. Anthony Asimwe, and then Ms. Fatuma Omar. Mr. Anthony, what do you represent? Who are you?
All right, thank you. My name, as you stated, is Asimwe Anthony. I'm a person who is really interested in the rule of law. Thank you once again. My name is Asimwe Anthony, offering myself for the position of the Vice Presidency. I'm a rule of law champion, someone who believes in access to justice, and someone who believes that everyone should be involved in the cause. That's why I presented myself to contest for this position of Vice President, Uganda Law Society.
Thank you very much. Introductory remarks from Ms. Fatuma Omar, who's joining us live.
Hello everyone, let me hope you can hear me, right? Am I loud and clear?
Yes, you are. Go ahead.
Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues, distinguished members of the Uganda Law Society, it is with deep humility and profound gratitude that I appear before you today. Yes, my name is Fatuma Omar, as introduced by Madam Kasumba, and I seek your trust and support to serve as your next Vice President of the Uganda Law Society.
Thank you very much to both candidates. Let's open the floor for you to discuss in depth for 5 minutes your manifesto. We shall go first with you, Mr. Anthony Asimwe.
All right, thank you. Driven by the RAD principles, which I'll explain later, my focus is on the ULS Strategic Plan 2024-2027, which is ongoing, and most especially the vision. And the vision in there is the Proficient Bar Association in fostering access to justice, the rule of law, and good governance in Uganda. But the question is this what we're doing by 2027? Are we able to see this as Uganda Society? Are we able to contribute to that? And based on that,
I personally have a vision, my own vision, to ensure that the bar really works towards this vision, which is what we should all look at. And to me, it's building a thriving legal profession in Uganda, fostering a society where strategic collaborations, advocacy, innovation, inclusivity, and professionalism enhance the lives of our members and benefit the broader community. Because ULS is not just for the members, but for the benefit of the general public and the government. How are we going to do this? Or what do I have in plan to have this achieved? There are major areas of focus, and these are 4 areas. These come from what I've seen over time, from what I've heard from the members, and from the strategic plan itself as action plans, the objectives and the action plans. One of my major areas of focus is enhancing the relevance of ULS. This is dimensional. It's the relevance of ULS to the members, to the community, and to the government out there. And how are we going to do this? The action plans I have for this. You realize while moving around, I noticed there's something I learned from many people. Many members feel the ULS is not relevant to them. They only come, they want to attend and get CLE points, but if you ask them what happens in ULS, they're not bothered because they feel what the society does, what the ULS, what the secretary is doing does not benefit them in any way. They don't get anything. Even the public out there, we hear the outcry. Some of them will say, what is ULS helping us? We know there's Law Society. In the recent March to Parliament, you had the calls before we came in, because I was part of the team that came in to help helping people at court, police. But you hear the outcry. What is the relevance of ULS? What are they helping us? This has affected our relations with other stakeholders, and it has led to shrinking of business space. There are some areas you'll go, I'll assure you, if an advocate right now you went to police to represent a client, they don't want to see you. They feel you're not relevant. If you went to land office to do any transaction, the brokers will pass straight. As counsel, you will stand outside and wait. It's because we are irrelevant. They don't see any sense in us. And I've been hearing people talk about judiciary and the judicial officers and how they treat us. It's also because we find we appear like we're not relevant. So how are we going to do this? One of the action points is to forge strategic collaborations with the key stakeholders. Most of these people in these entities are lawyers, they are colleagues. But because we don't have that kind of strategic collaboration, they don't care about what happens. And you find the lawyers are there, they are losing out on business. The other people are doing their work, they are able to advertise their work. Let's say you find property dealers advertising their work, but they also do legal work. Lawyers cannot advertise. Those guys will draft agreements, they'll be respected, they will do transfers. But as lawyers are not allowed to, but the people are competing with, it's unfair competition. And that is all because we appear irrelevant. So my major point is to ensure ULS is relevant to its members by supporting them in their business. Members should feel they want to be part of ULS. We shouldn't be begging them to appear and participate in ULS activities. Secondly, is to promote and protect the rule of law and human rights. I've done this over years. How do we do this? We hear people talk about rule of law, they talk about human rights, but is the state of the rule of law we have in the country what we desire? Is this what we want to be? As ULS, how can we contribute to this? And one, I think, or I believe the best way to do this is engaging in various forms like advocacy, things like public interest litigation. I've personally participated in various public interest litigation cases where human rights are being abused. The rule of law is something we need to uphold, something we need to hold dearly, because if we do not, then we are not going to see the good governance that we desire, that we want. So I feel if you do advocate, and the Act, the ULS Act gives us the mandate to advise government on policy and law and regulations, we have a chance to do this. So we can do that through advocacy and also through issues of public interest litigation. The third, which is also major, is access to justice. I need to foster and push for access to justice. How do we do this? We've been talking about lawyers, we have clients all over, but is everyone able to access justice? As the Vice President, one of your roles is to ensure that the legal aid and pro bono schemes of Uganda Law Society continue moving. How do you do this? Currently, the legal aid and pro bono is strictly donor funds. So my duty, what I'll do is to make sure I work on collaborations with development partners and also encourage members to take on pro bono and do legal aid like I've been doing. And lastly is advancing professional development. How are we going to do this? We've had cries of young lawyers saying they are not involved. The CLE trainings are very expensive for them. They cannot afford. But the professional development we are looking at, are we only engaging or looking at one set of lawyers or people can afford? We need to have inclusivity, let all the people be present, and also focus, have a bigger picture. Someone here talked about what happened during COVID-19. There are so many diverse areas of practice, but again, there are other things advocates can be trained about that can enhance their livelihood and their practice, not thinking in a box, thinking in only one direction. And this is what I intend to bring on the table once I've been sent to this office.
Thank you, Anthony.
I would now like to call upon Ms. Fatima Omar to give us her manifesto as for the position of Vice Presidency of Uganda Law Society.
Thank you so much. Now, this is my vision for Uganda Law Society to serve you as your Vice President. First and foremost, rule of law. Colleagues, you know, rule of law is the foundation of our society. Without it, we cannot have justice. We cannot have progress. And as the Vice President of Uganda Law Society, I'll be a tireless advocate of the rule of law, both within the legal profession and the broader Ugandan society, because that is part of my mandate. We must defend the integrity of our society system. I mean, we must, that should be the justice system, and ensure that it works for everyone, not just the powerful, but also those that are powerless. My other point on which I stand is strengthening the legal aid and pro bono service. Access to justice is a right. It's not a luxury. And yet, many Ugandans are denied this right simply because they cannot afford it. I believe we can do better. As Uganda Law Society and as your Vice President, I promise you, I will strengthen legal aid and pro bono services and make sure that those who need the legal representations the most are not left behind. We must also ensure that lawyers are respected and that clients understand the value that lawyers are offering to them. For example, many lawyers are now faced with problems before the Law Council, and these problems affecting their day-to-day progress because they see they are simply offering their pro bono services. I'll be there to stand with you lawyers that are offering pro bono services and your cases are not moving for the Law Council. Then also the third point that I have to put forward is streamlining the benevolent fund members. This is very, very important. I have listened to your concerns about the benevolent fund, and it is time we reformed it to ensure it serves not only when a member is dead, but also when our members are unwell. So no one should suffer in silence, my dear colleagues. We must create a system that truly supports our colleagues in their need of time. Me being a practitioner, I know the challenges that we face. We are facing challenges from we can't get loans from bank because the society out there perceives us as people that have everything. And yet our profession has been termed to be a risk business. So why don't we use our PCs as a security to get some of the money that we have in our benevolent fund, just enable and support our colleagues when they are in need and improve their well-being and quality of life. My dear lawyers, kindly remember that our capital as lawyers is us, what we eat, where we go, what we drive, and our space in which we work. So the benevolent fund will be improved along those lines if you give me the mandate to serve you as your Vice President. And the other point that is really pertinent, I'll ensure that I promote psychosocial support for advocates, members. This is a serious issue. You see, we are living in stressful times and our profession is not immune. That is for a fact. The mental, emotional, and social well-being of our members must be a priority. And I promise you, as your Vice President, I will establish a psychosocial support, stress, anxiety, and like a cluster sort of, and I will be able just to address your challenges because we need a psychosocial support system that is holistic, that will support the lawyers in their unique nature as lawyers. Members, this is not just about self-care, it's about making sure that we are all able to give our best to our clients, because charity begins at home. And for this, I began in the Members First magazine, where I came up with a call that deals in psychosocial support. So, members, that is part of my vision for Uganda Law Society. And then the other point that I should stand on is sub-studies in CLE trainings for young lawyers. To the young lawyers here today, we see you.
You have 1 minute remaining.
I know the road you're walking, and I want to make the road a little easier. And we'll work to sub-studies, continuing legal education and training for young lawyers, and also ensuring that you have access to the knowledge and skills that you need to thrive in your profession. Then also, I'll make sure that since we are in the digital world, it's time for us to step into the future. And as your Vice President, I will push for the full digitalization of ULS services, making it easier for every member to access resources. So
thank you very
much.
That is
my vision. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to both our candidates for the position of Vice Presidency. That's Mr. Anthony Asimwe and Ms. Fatuma Omar. Before I hand over to Ms. Angela Nzama, I have just one question for both candidates. I'll start over with Mr. Anthony Asimwe. You're running for an elective position as the Vice President. And there's usually a situation that arises in the sense that you do not choose who you work with. So as a Vice President, you will be working closely with the President of the Uganda Law Society, which is also an elective position. In that position, we have Mr. Isaac Atkunda, we have Mr. Isaac Zemakate, and we have Mr. Kenneth Kipalu, all who are colleagues of yours. You might get along, you might not get along. I want to know, how well do you work with people who perhaps you do not agree with? And if your boss, because the ULS president becomes your boss, unfortunately maybe utters a statement or does not align to your thoughts or your principles, how would you work with a person like that in an elective office like the Vice Presidency?
All right, thank you very much. I must state from the start that I'm a team player. I've worked over time with different people. I served as the manager pro bono at the Uganda Law Society for quite some time under different leadership. And the colleagues you're mentioning, I've actually worked with them on various issues. What is important is having principles that we agree upon as a team, because you cannot work alone. You cannot work in silos. You must work as a team. You must sit to agree. These are the principles that govern. This is what we are looking at. We have a strategic plan, or we have a plan we are going by. This is what we need to implement. If you have any personal differences, those should be really outside work, because it's going to affect the way you operate and the way you work. But as long as you choose to push your agenda and do not listen, it's usually important as a leader to listen more and talk less, as long as you're governed or guided by the principles which you stick to and you agree. And at the beginning, you need to streamline. These are the principles that are governing us. This is the mandate of ULS we are pushing. It's a statutory mandate. This is the mandate we are pushing, and these are the actions. This is what we need to do. So if you agree and you have principles that govern, it should be very easy. And like I said, I'm a team player who has really worked with so many people on different projects, different aspects, and I'm willing and able to work with anyone. It doesn't matter whether the person is above me or the person is below me. It's not about titles. It's about service, and I'm ready to serve.
Ms. Fatuma Omar, if I can bring you in here. This is an elective position as Vice Presidency of the Uganda Law Society. You're going to have to work with numerous people, some who you've chosen and some that you have not chosen. I will ask you the same question that I've asked your colleague. You will work very closely with the Office of the Presidency. At times you will agree and disagree. What happens in a situation where perhaps you might disagree with the President?
Thank you so much. Disagreement is part of progress. In a society, you know that you don't always have to agree, but you can always agree to disagree. So it's about consensus, and we work as a team. I don't work individually, we work as a team. And I promise you, I have a master's in social work, so I know how to deal with people, and that I promise you. And I am tested on that. Yes, that is why I'm here today.
Thank you very much to
Thank
both
you.
candidates. Angelo, if you have some questions.
Just one question. In the course of this this debate, people have talked about how the law profession is changing. Digitalization, automation, and the environment that we're in has drastically changed. Also, the impression I get is that legal jobs for lawyers are shrinking relative to the supply of lawyers. So someone told me that 28 magistrate positions were advertised and 1,200 lawyers applied.
That's true.
What, as senior members of the society and of the Bar Association, what are your thoughts on expanding the range of services to accommodate what lawyers can do? Because obviously there's a lot that can be done, and to diversify the sorts of employment that someone entering the legal profession or someone enrolling as an advocate would be assured that, you know, when I get in the legal profession, I'm going to advance both career-wise and for my welfare. Any of you can answer this.
All right, thank you. I'll begin with your point about digitalization. And I feel we say we are moving towards digitalization, but again, we have issues curtailing us. I'll give you an example. I've been moving around on the campaign trail, and this has been an issue. You're looking for voters, and someone tells you, are you guys, you're digitalizing? I mean, Barara, I cannot travel to Kampala to vote. Why can't I vote online? Why can't I attend AGM online? And if you look at other law societies, they've embraced hybrid AGMs. Why can't we embrace that? But then there's another obstacle. We kept talking about the ULS Act, which is governing us now. It's a very old law of 1976. I remember during COVID, we were supposed to hold an AGM. I had to first go to court to get a court order to allow us hold meetings, AGM, in different places, and to allow people to vote from different areas where they are. And there was a recommendation that we need to have this act amended. It has never been done. Why don't you work on digitalization? If we are taking more digitalization and assist members, why should people have to move in one place? Because that's where the world is going. It can be done from wherever. That is everything about that. Now, when you talk about shrinking space, business space, and the increment in the number of lawyers, it's a reality, and it's happening. You look at you look at what's happening right now, or if anyone is stepping out of law school, what they look at as their legal business, a day one lawyer, 1 week, the business they could be doing. Right now, you can hardly do any of that. You cannot go to URS Bank incorporate a company. URSB, everything's digitalized. Clients do that themselves. But there's nowhere under that scheme where you find there's a job for a lawyer. They download memorandum and articles of association online, and they use that. Now, where's the business for lawyers? You go to court, you find it's okay to have self-represented clients, but there are some matters where even the judiciary does not take keen, does not encourage people to get lawyers. I've been talking about the legal aid and pro bono scheme. We've been having, we run what we call the duty counsel scheme, where we had young advocates go to police and exercise their legal skills and try to learn. But the lawyers reach police, they chase them away. Actually, the police will say, if you come here with a lawyer, we don't want to talk to you, we want to talk to you alone. Now, all those are institutional problems. The business is there, the work is there. And of course, you look at diversity, there are so many other things lawyers can do. But if the business which is there is shrinking, how shall we look at creating more businesses for lawyers? Because even if the lawyers, the numbers increase, right now, you're seeing 2,000 students graduating from LDC. You have 1,500 have been taken up. So we need to think comprehensively and go back, have engagements, have collaborations with some of these stakeholders where we have legal work supposed to be done by lawyers. We do what we call ring fencing. At least have work there for an advocate, a lawyer.
Fatuma, is there a role for the for the society in expanding the range of jobs that lawyers can do? I only say this, Fatima, because I sit on an audit committee, and so I attend professional audit conferences, and auditors are constantly talking about the changing corporate environment, the changing operating environment, and they are constantly upgrading their skills to offer a diverse range of services as auditors. What is the equivalent vision you have for the society to play such a similar role?
Thank you very much. Now, yes, I should say, there are many opportunities that Uganda Law Society can put across and has already put across. First and foremost is creating opportunities. How do we create opportunities? We can benchmark and find out what other people are doing for their members. Then also, you see, when I talk about creating opportunities, we are looking at how we can embrace all the lawyers that we have. We can't say that we have many lawyers. I don't agree with that statement, because first and foremost, we are about 47 point something million Ugandans against about 5,500 lawyers. So we are not that many. The opportunities are there. It's just for us to continue through our continuous legal education. First and foremost, to teach our members digitalization, where we are all going to benchmark, as I've already said. What are others doing to benchmark? And things like the pro bono scheme, which is under my mandate, we can source out and work hand in hand with the stakeholders. And for example, put all our young lawyers that are coming out, we station them at each and every police station in Uganda. Like, for example, 2 members of the Uganda Law Society to be there, like paralegals. That will give them, like, it will be like a ground for them to grow, develop their, they will develop their practice, because now they're engaging in the real criminal practice right from school. And it will also open up an opportunity for clientele. Once you're there giving services as a paralegal, before you know it, you have grown into, getting more clients and things like that. So there are opportunities, I should say,
Thank
yes,
you.
for Uganda Law Society.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you to both candidates, to both Mr. Anthony Simwe and Ms. Fatima Omar. I think that calls us to an end of session 4. But before we finalize, we're giving each candidate 1 minute to speak to those who are digitally joining us, those who belong to the ULS community who are going to vote on the 28th. So Mr. Anthony Simwe, 1 minute, and Ms. Fatima Omar, 1 minute as your closing remarks on why they should vote for you as a future Vice President to the Uganda Law Society.
All right, thank you. There is this wrong assumption that a vice president is merely there, doesn't have a role, is a shadow of the president. That is wrong. This is the time to change that. The reason as why I presented myself is I've been there, I've seen it all. I know where the gaps are, I know what needs to be addressed, and I've been active in service for the Uganda Law Society, but I've never been given an opportunity to serve on the council, which is a decision-making body where you can put your ideas across. Now, I'm available, I'm reliable, I have the ability, and I'm dependable. Members can rely on me. I've done this in the past, even while not serving on the council. I've been there for the members, I've been there in various forms, and trust me, I'm the best candidate for this position. The major role we've been talking about for the LAP and Pro Bono, no person has more experience than I do in that field, because I've done it over years. And I believe I have a lot to offer, given an opportunity. So I call upon the members to come cast their vote 28 and vote for Simwe Anthony for VP. Thank you.
Ms. Fatima Omar?
Yes, I have to begin here. You know, right now I am like the only woman that is running for this senior position. And while I am proud to stand as a female leader, I am here to represent all of you. It doesn't matter whether you're male or female, you're young lawyer, you're senior lawyer, I am serving all of you. Colleagues, the choice before you is not just about who will hold the title of vice president. It's about who will serve you, who will fight for you and for your interests, who will stand by your values. And I believe in a Uganda law society that is for all of us, a society that will uplift, that will support and empower its members, a society that stands as a beacon of justice and fairness in our nation. And yes, I am glad that I've worked with my opponent. We have been together on many radio talk shows, on and TV shows. We've been presenting with my colleague Anthony, and I think, not even just thinking, and I believe that I also have the experience to serve as the vice president. Thank you very much.
A special thank you to both our candidates for the position of Vice President for Session 4, Mr. Anthony Asimwe and Ms. Fatma Omar. Thank you very much for sticking to our guidelines, and thank you very much for giving us an elaborate feel of your manifesto. We encourage you to continue to canvass the Uganda Law Society for more votes, and we wish you the very best of luck come the 28th. Thank you very much.
Shall we begin?
A very warm welcome to you this afternoon, to those of you who are joining us digitally. To those of you who are joining us here, I'm going to ask kindly for everyone in the room, kindly, if we can return to session. This is session number 8 for the presidency of the Uganda Law Society. The president, of course, is the most important position in the structure for the Uganda Law Society. We have the following candidates. Here with us are Mr. Isaac Atkunda and also Mr. Kenneth Kipalu. Mr. Isaac Semakade is not with us today. I'm sure he will be with us on Friday. The position which they're vying for is the presidency of the Uganda Law Society. I'm the co-moderator. Mr. Angelo Zama is still with me. And this is our last and final session. Angelo, over to you.
First of all, congratulations for making it to the top of that list and offering your services to the society. I welcome you, gentlemen. We will begin this final session by listening to your manifestos. Each person will have 5 minutes each, and then we'll take it from there. Who will yield the floor? Thank you for being gracious. Go ahead, please.
I'm glad my colleague has recognized my seniority. It is important for the profession to recognize seniors. Good evening, our moderators. Good evening, colleagues who are online. For emphasis, I have to give my names again. Atkunda Isaac is my name, and I'm contesting for the position of the President of the Uganda Law Society 2024-2025. First of all, I want to thank our elections committee for organizing this debate. It is very, very important that members get to appreciate what we stand for as the leaders. Maybe before giving my manifesto, I want to give the structure of Uganda Law Society. It's from the structure that we can appreciate the mandate of the president. Uganda Law Society is established by an act of parliament, and it is Uganda's only bar association. To become a member, you must be an advocate. So all advocates in Uganda are members of Uganda Law Society, but there is an obligation to pay annual subscription. So for purposes of this election, members who have paid annual subscription will be eligible to vote for the leaders. Now, the activities of the society are overseen by the council, and the council is elected by the general membership. Now, the council is not an executive council because it does not sit at the secretariat. So the council governs the society through the secretariat. Now, the secretariat carries out the day-to-day activities of the society. So the role of the president of the Uganda Law Society is to chair all council meetings, is to be the spokesperson of the society. There are other activities and obligations like sitting on the Judiciary Council, sitting on Law Council. So the president has a wider mandate. Now, as I've explained, the mandate of the Uganda Society is wider. It has an obligation to its membership. It has an obligation to the general public. It has an obligation towards the judiciary, the government, and other stakeholders. So the presidency is a very, very serious position that requires leadership experience, because you must bring these parts together, these stakeholders together, and ensure that you have a running vehicle, which is the Uganda Law Society. That is why it is very key that you have a president who understands this mandate, who has got experience, and is a leader. I have got very wide experience spanning over 17 years in administration. I have been the faculty administrator, Faculty of Law at Kampala International University. I have been an assistant lecturer at Kampala International University. I am the managing partner, Credo Advocates. I also own companies where I'm a director. And in 2022, I was given the mandate as the secretary of the Uganda Law Society. I appreciate the operations of the society very well. I understand the stakeholders of the society, and members understand who I am and how I operate, because in the last 2 years, I do not have any single blame that has been directed at me, because members have appreciated my service. And this is basically why I seek their mandate to be the president. I appreciate their challenges we are facing as the legal profession. We have challenges relating to rule of law and access to justice. We have challenges from judicial independence and accountability. Our members have got challenges, the young lawyers, the female lawyers, the senior lawyers. You know, most times we talk about challenges faced by the young lawyers and we forget seniors have been campaigning. You find a law firm where a senior has been hit by a stroke and cannot afford rent. So our membership has got challenges. We have stakeholders, donors, who we must always convince to support our legal aid project. We have challenges to do with the projects which we are running, like the ULS House. So it is the responsibility of council to facilitate addressing of these challenges. And the president is at the top of this and must ensure that all the organs are running smoothly so as to be able to address the challenges. Now the question to me is, which kind of leadership do we deserve or should we have at Uganda Law Society? I will use this example. If I want to engage, let's say, the Chief Justice, should I go to his chambers and bang the table? Or I should go to his chambers and engage him, consult him, advise him, and if he doesn't take the advice, then I can go for radical measures, maybe call a boycott.
You've got 20 seconds.
In a nutshell, I'm saying this is the time we must make key decisions as Uganda Law Society. I have a manifesto. It has more than 12 agenda items wherein I provide solutions to the above listed challenges. Members, listen to us and make a critical decision that will provide or make a Uganda society we all want. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Isaac. Mr. Kenneth, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Members of Uganda Law Society, in exactly 10 days, you're going to make a decision, and that decision is going to reflect your character as a society. It's going to reflect the values that you hold as members of Uganda Law Society. We are offering ourselves as your leaders, but you must think critically about your decision and make a determination on that day which leader best reflects the values that you stand for, which leader reflects the character of the noble profession of law. We are talking about leadership here. This is not entertainment. You've had calls for revolution. This is not time for revolution. It's a revelation time, not revolution. You've had calls of banging the table. You can bang a table if you're bringing awareness about climate change, and I would applaud such efforts. But we're talking about leadership here. This is our life. This is our livelihood. It's not politics. I am offering myself as a leader because I have served you before as Chair Young Lawyers Committee. I've represented you on the Law Council, and you've all seen the changes that I've brought about while in those roles. We do not need to alienate anybody. Uganda Law Society cannot achieve anything without the collaborative effort of everyone within the Ugandan government. Let nobody lie to you. You need the collaboration of the Attorney General. You need the collaboration of the judiciary. You need the collaboration of all the relevant stakeholders. Alienating either of them is going to bring down the whole system, including the legal profession. Ask yourselves critically, is that what you want? Bear in mind, the legal profession is the source of your livelihood. So what should we be discussing right now? What we should be discussing right now is the environment in which we operate. Is that environment conducive for the legal profession? We have rule of law issues. We are having a crisis in the Ugandan judiciary. But luckily for us, in less than a year from now, the Chief Justice and Deputy Chief Justice will be retiring. How are we positioning ourselves to be part of the conversation for the next appointments? Those should be the issues we are discussing. Technology is here. Is technology here to take away our jobs? Is technology here to enable our jobs? That is the conversation we should be having. We have issues to do with enrollment. Young lawyers are getting frustrated. How can we best help them? That is the conversation we should be having. Everything else is background noise. Everything else is politics. In my manifesto, I have laid out the plan that we intend to undertake to address the societal challenges, to address the professional challenges, such that together we can build a fully functional law society that advances the interests of every lawyer. It is for that reason, ladies and gentlemen, that I invite you to cast your vote on that day for Kenneth Chipalu. This is the leadership that we need at this time. I thank you so much.
A special thank you to both candidates who are with us, Mr. Isaac Atukunda and Mr. Kenneth Kipalu. Yes, I want also to appeal to those who are joining us digitally and those who are going to vote under the Uganda Law Society that this is a time for reflection, and these are your leaders, and vote them wisely, vote them sanely. So my questions to you, I just have two questions lined up for Mr. Isaac Atukunda and Mr. Kenneth Kipalu. I'll go first with you, Mr. Isaac. I want to know specifically, what values do you stand for? You know, the position of president of Uganda Law Society is a very important position. You're akin to a minister in the Ugandan government. My question to you is, what values do you stand for? How is it that you work for people? And what should people know you for? What do you want to be known for?
Thank you very much, the moderator. It's a very, very important question because leadership is about values. And for the case of Uganda Law Society, besides the mandate it has, the leader should be reflective of the society. And as the legal profession, their values, professional values, we are expected to uphold. For example, professional courtesy. Here when we are starting, my colleague named me senior. Though I'm not yet senior, but at least he named me senior because in terms of years of practice, at least I'm older than him. That is etiquette. We have professional ethics, professional standards, and we have regulations. Then as a leader, there are values a leader should have. For example, a leader should be a good listener. You should be able to listen to the people you lead. A leader should be someone who is able to offer leadership. And you cannot offer what you do not have. You're only able to offer leadership if you have leadership experience. A leader should be someone who engages. Because through engagement, you consult, you pick the opinions and the ideas of the people you read, because you can never be a fountain of knowledge. So Isaac stands for the values of 1, being a good listener, number 2, being consultative, number 3, being engaging, number 4, I am very truthful, number 5, I'm independent minded. Make no mistake, people say Isaac appears soft. I don't think there is a leader who is soft. When there is need for radicalism, we can all be radical. But it's not what a lawyer is expected to have as the first tool of engagement. Our weapon is always the law. I have a quotation from Martin Luther Jr., and he said that non-violence is the answer to the crucial political and moral questions of our times. The need for a man to overcome oppression and violence should be without resorting to oppression and violence. I am a leader whose values do not advocate for violence, because I'm an advocate, and I will always uphold the professional values and ethics of an advocate. That's what I stand for. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me come over to Mr. Kenneth Kipalu. You had talked about the profession. You had stated within your presentation about your manifesto that people must vote wisely, most importantly because this is their livelihood. Let us take a look at the current legal profession, especially for those who run law firms. Let's take, for example, because that is an important role. It provides jobs to various people within the structure. Many firms today, post-COVID, are in chronic debt. It's very expensive to run a firm, and many lawyers are struggling, to say the least, because life after COVID has truly changed. What can you do as a president to create a spur within the fraternity so that firms and the business as a law firm, for example, can succeed or can be successful in your term?
Thank you so much for that question. You know, I think nothing teaches anybody about leadership than being a parent. Nothing teaches leadership like being a parent. You learn responsibility. You learn that someone must always come before you do. You learn empathy. And I believe those are values we must bear as leaders. But to specifically answer your question, what can be done for struggling law firms? I am very happy that the current president started an initiative of the ULS Circle, Uganda Law Society Circle. I think we need to build on that. And then once it is fully operational and established, we can then extend soft loans to our members, such that we can revamp their practices. If a member is struggling, there is no reason why he should go to a bank to borrow money. The Uganda Law Society declined borrowing money to complete construction of its own building. What would make us think that a member or a struggling law firm will be able to repay back the state? So I think we need to really build on the ULS Circle, make sure it is fully operational and functional, give it the required capital such that we can help our members. So my pledge is really to continue with those efforts to build on the ULS Circle to help our struggling colleagues.
If I'm allowed also to comment on law firm growth and business development, it's a very, very important issue because all of us advocates open up chambers to do business for growth. It is a sad day in the life of an advocate to go home without money. To me, the issue which causes underdevelopment in law firms, you need to have it in totality, because the circle may not be sufficient to address this. For example, issues of financial management. How are the partners in a law firm managing their finances? What is the idea about client attraction and retention? Are the partners alive to modern practices? For example, now we have legal tech supporting legal practice. There is cross-border practice. Now, it is important that the Uganda Law Society takes keen interest in these matters because there is rapid growth. The practice is changing, practice environment is changing. So we shall be having CLE trainings directed at building the capacity of our members. I agree the SACCO is helpful, but we may also give loans and they fail to pay because they have no money. We must build the capacity of the law firms. Talk about partnerships, talk about mergers. Why should a lawyer move from Kampala to Guru to handle a matter? Why not partner with a law firm in Guru so that you can share the costs of running business? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to both candidates. I just want to ask my final question to both candidates. This is an elective position and it's a much sought after position. Everybody wants to be president. Everybody likes that feel when you walk in the room, His Excellency has arrived, the President of Uganda Law Society. That sound itself is what everybody vies for. I want to know, Mr. Isaac Atkunda, I'll start with you. If you lose this election, can you accept that you've lost the election?
First of all, I'm winning. Second of all, I'm winning. Third of all, I'm winning. But also a good leader should always accept defeat when it comes. I am a very humble person. If I lose, I'll go back to Credo Advocates, remain a royal member of Uganda Law Society and serve my society. Thank you.
And Mr. Kenneth Kipalu, you came dressed the part. When you walked in here, people said, His Excellency has arrived. I want to know, if you do not win the election, will you accept that you've lost?
I am a believer in the values of the legal profession. I am a believer in majoritarian democracy. If the majority of the members do not buy into the plan that I've laid out for the Law Society, I'll most certainly concede and congratulate the winning candidate.
Thank you very much. My questions end there. Ms. Angela Izama.
And gentlemen, before coming here, I was thinking, because I also teach leadership. I've been teaching a leadership class for like 7 years, mostly young professionals around Africa. But I wanted to ask, if you pay attention to, I think, what is being discussed about this year's Law Society elections, there is this contradiction here. People say change won't come unless there's either revolution or reform. Now, both of you have been members of the society and have served in various roles. For those who want change, and the change we're talking about includes some of the things you've suggested and some of the candidates we have had here today. Those who want radical change, what would you tell them if you've been part of the inertia that they're talking about? Can you be part of the solution? I mean, you get my question, eh? Yes. Reform or revolution? And then for the especially younger members of the profession who are saying we need things to move faster than they have been moving, what would you say to them? Those who say to you, you've been part of the problem, you can't be part of the solution. You are part of the past, not part of the future.
Thank you very much. To me, that is a very, very critical issue, that today, if I become the president, I should be considering, because times have changed. There is a need to change, and change is a factor of life. The difference is on the approach. How do you change? We are advocates. We have our weapons of change. Our weapons of change are through law reform, law review, enactment of new laws. We engage, I agree, for example, our practice environment has changed. There is need to reform the regulatory framework. Today when I was coming here, the grave digger asked me whether we should be considering advertising
Is this a
for
person?
lawyers. And
the grave digger, is this an individual?
Is an individual.
Why don't you name the individual?
I think that's the name he calls himself. I don't know. That's what he told me.
That's on a birth certificate?
Probably, maybe. I don't know. But
Nah.
that's what he told me as his name.
Okay. The reason I say this
I
is
did ask
because
for his birth
it's-
certificate.
Okay. You
but
can
that's what he
say a
told
certain
me.
individual.
So he was asking about lawyers advertising. I know in America, lawyers advertise, but there are regulations regulating the advertising. In Uganda, it's not allowed. So it calls for reform. When I was moving around, a lawyer was asking me that, assuming I do not want to own a law firm, but I want to practice law. I am a lawyer, I have a PC, but I don't want to be attached to a law firm. Another lawyer told me in Silicon Valley, they do virtual practice. We don't have regulations providing for virtual practice. I agree there is a need for change. We need reforms. For example, the Uganda Law Society is in the process of amending the Uganda Law Society Act, which was enacted around 1956, because we need to provide for some of the projects we are undertaking, like the SACCO, like the Benevolent Fund. What is holding us is the certificate of financial implication, which Parliament is asking for. So I agree with people calling for reforms. The only difference I have is on the approach. Can we do reforms without banging the table? Can we do it using the ways the lawyers know? Thank you.
Kenneth?
Thank you so much. What is my leadership history? Everywhere I have been in a place of leadership, I've advocated for change. I have been a representative of Uganda Law Society at Committee of Legal Education and Training. As a result of my presence there, CLE fees have been capped. A day's CLE event does not cost more than 250,000 for physical attendance and does not cost more than 150,000 for an online attendance. That is a standard that has been set by the committee. The problem lawyers had 3 years ago was expensive CLEs, and I was able to champion that change. Now, the question of revolution or reform, I'm a believer in incremental change. I'm a believer in progressive realization of the change that you seek. I do not take the maximalist approach that things are going to change suddenly. We must realize things progressively. I believe that is a realistic approach. That is an approach that enables stability. We do not want to set our house on fire. We want to continuously demand for the change we believe in and appreciate the progressive realization towards that change. And that is my approach, even in this election.
Thank you, gentlemen. You have 1 minute each now to address your supporters with your closing remarks. Isaac, thank you for being gracious and returning the favor. Kenneth, you go first.
Thank you so much. As I stated in the beginning, ladies and gentlemen, members of Uganda Law Society, we must be careful about the choice we make on the 28th. We are making a choice on the leadership that Uganda Law Society deserves at this critical moment. We have issues, yes. But what we need most to address these issues is a leader who can collaborate, a leader who can engage, a leader who understands the importance of engagement with all the stakeholders. And that is what I am here to offer. On the 28th, cast your vote in favor of Kenneth Chipalu, such that together we can move the Uganda Law Society forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Land friends, imagine this. Imagine there is an emergency and you have to drive a bus full of passengers from Arua to Kampala. And then because of an emergency, you choose to put a driver with no driving permit, with no experience whatsoever. What happens to the bus? On 28th, we shall be making a critical decision about our bar association. It has existed for the last 66 years. We are not reinventing the wheel. We are adding on to what our seniors created. They have laid a foundation from which we can build. I kindly implore you to vote for Atkunda Isaac, vote for a progressive, independent bar association we all want. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I would just like to thank our candidates for this session, session 8, Mr. Isaac Atkunda and Mr. Kenneth Kipalu, who have been with us. Thank you for presenting your manifestos to us. We want to thank you and wish you the very best of luck. We want to also remind you to start walking presidentially, because as I just want to call upon all candidates who are vying for the presidency, during this time before the 28th, kindly conduct yourself in a presidential manner so that we know what kind of presidents we're electing. I would also like to thank the candidates for the vice presidency role, Mr. Anthony Asimo and Ms. Fatima Omar. I want to thank the secretarial candidates, Mr. Philip Munabi and Mr. Babu Sali. I also want to thank those who are vying for the Council Member Eastern Region, Mrs. Agnes Eres Kanyango, Mr. Francis Xavier Ochama, Mr. Eddie Nangulu. I also want to thank also Ms. Robina Chamohangire, Mrs. Georgina Matama Gonza Musisi, and Mr. Abubakar Sekanjo, who were also vying for representatives to the Law Council, who have all been part of this debate from 2:30 p.m. until now, around about a quarter to 6 p.m. We do not take it for granted that you've taken your time to be with us. Let me take this opportunity as well to also thank those who've been joining us online through various platforms, especially those who are part of the Uganda Law Society community and fraternity, who are going to make that critical vote come the 28th for different candidates, as I've read them out. On that note, I want to thank also the Uganda Law Society. I want to thank Mr. Moses Mwase and his team for putting up this debate and doing a fantastic job. I also want to hand over to Mr. Angelo Izama, who's been my co-host. He will wrap us up as we end this debate. Thank you very much.
Well, my thanks go to the very vigorous online participation. It's always a delight to see when people have something at stake and they can stay committed and engaged for hours. And we've had a long day of conversation. I want to thank the Law Society for allowing me to, the privilege to interact with lawyers today and to matriculate in your issues. It's really been enlightening. I think we've come to the end of this first series of a debate. There's another session, I understand, on Friday, but Moses may join the presidents over there and say something about what's going to come next and close this initial series. Thank you.
Right. So to our online audience and some of the few people in the room, I would like, on behalf of the team, to express our deepest gratitude to our moderator, Madam Jane Kasumba, and our co-moderator, Mr. Angelo Izama, who I believe we all agree have done an excellent job. We were wondering how a debate with so many people was going to take place, and we're very happy that you guys have handled this with the highest level of professionalism. But on behalf of the Elections Committee, we would like to also join the moderators in wishing the candidates a successful rest of the campaigns. Maybe one or two announcements. We will be sharing guidelines that all candidates should take note of and also familiarize themselves with, plus a bit of a roadmap that will lead to 28th of September. I think you recall we notified you that campaigns had started right after nominations, and we would like campaigns to end on the 27th so that we leave the final day to just voters, and so these details will come out. But we thank you, and on Friday, as our moderators today have indicated, would like to have a debate for the presidential aspirants, which will take a deeper dive, and you should be seeing the artwork on our different social media platforms. But this is not to say that the other candidates are not welcome to be online, as I'm sure we would like to explore ways of also hearing from the other candidates. But having said that, we also want to thank you for ensuring that we maintain the quorum. And I think we've been very ably cautioned by Jane in ensuring that we remain presidential. I think the message is loud and clear. It's important that we do not disparage our very much loved society. And so candidates, please be mindful of what our regulations require. And we know there's been a request for us to have debates on TV and all that. And we've had a conversation with the candidates on why this has not been possible. Our rules are still boxing us in, and we will consult going forward in terms of how some of these things can be addressed. But thank you so much for the time, but particularly our online audience, we want to appreciate you for sparing over 3 hours to listen to our people who've stepped forward to take the society leadership ahead. And we've been very delighted to hear the plans you have for us as members, and we cannot wait to see how this pans out on the 28th. So thank you so much, and this is closed.